Hi everybody, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a little bit of a mix of some of the ghost ball activity that we've been experiencing, showing that the spirits are alive in my apartment while I'm cooking dinner. Don't worry, I'm going to give you some clips on dinner. But before I jump into a little bit of this stuff, I do want to touch first on the recent events around Charles Kirk's death and give my thoughts and prayers to our fellow Americans and mainly his wife and family. May they be thoughts of healing and comfort during this time, and letting my extended condolences be said as comfort. I do not agree with what happened. And I'm going to briefly touch on the subject. It is not going to be the main focus, but it's definitely something that I need to say because I need to get it out. And due to the sensitivity of the subject, it can go on as a long tangent, and I don't want it to be that either. Now, I'm not on TikTok, Discord. I haven't even logged on to my old Facebook since 2018, and that is for personal reasons and things that have happened to me and my family through the internet. If you'd like to know more about that, or if that spiked curiosity, please reach out to me, and I would be more than willing to have a discussion with you regarding that, or we can do a collaborative post and we can discuss why that is. But I haven't logged on to my Facebook since 2018. Excuse me. However, scrolling through YouTube, I have seen some of the reposts of TikToks and Discords and other various platforms where people are disgracing the family that has disgraced Charles Kirk's mission, has completely disgraced the Republican Party, and even more importantly, the overall American community. Because it doesn't matter what political party you side with heavily or in between. At the end of the day, we are Americans. And that is the standpoint that I am coming from as an American. I have seen videos of these people crying and losing their jobs due to them celebrating the assassination of Charles Kirk because they wanted to silence his voice. That one kind of weighs a little heavy on me. I personally, as an American, a straight, born pledged, certified, born woman, I have lost jobs due to these people's lies and manipulation. I have been written up due to these kind of people's lies and illusion mentality. I personally refuse to call a man a woman and or go by his pronouns. I subjectively made it very clear. I can clearly see you are a man, therefore I will not call you by your pronouns. I will not refer to you as a woman. I am a woman. I'm not going to train or try to manipulate my brain into thinking that you are a woman. You are a man. Therefore, I received disciplinary action at my job, was completely written up, and considered disrespectful. What you guys have done is you are cheering on somebody who blatantly assassinated somebody for using their voice. He was not threatening. It is not self-defense. It is pure obstructed nonsense. It makes no sense to me as to why it happened. Very heartbreaking. I have also seen videos of these people speak upon Christians and other various religions, other fellow Americans, anybody who does not agree with their mental ideations as Nazis. We have been referred to as Nazis. I want to make it real crystal clear that prior to September 10th, what they thought was us as America being Nazi towards them is nothing in comparison to what it's going to be moving forward. Truth be told, America has bended and has oppressed the overall workforce, has oppressed those of the religious sector, manipulated and guilt-tripped them into us having to accept their lifestyle. It doesn't matter what corner of the world or what religion a fellow American chooses for their life. The one thing that every religious person, spiritual person, every religion, other countries in the world can all unite on is their textbook, which is their Bible or their Quran or their guide to their spiritual beliefs, all clearly say these are the people that are considered unholy. So for that,
Herzes für Charles Kirk, für deinen Widerstand und deinen Einstand.
so for them to use the actions of the assassin as a holy moment, that this was what God wanted, is something they can literally choke on. Because that is not the case. To the one who committed this act, I do want to say what you have done is you have woken up a sleeping beast amongst the American people. You stirred something far deeper. And it's not just this one. The attempted assassination on Donald Trump and the other attempted assassination after that to the other political person. I don't know their name offhand, but I do know that there have been multiple in this last year alone. You have no idea what you were dealing with beforehand, but you have definitely awakened a lot of us. So your woke preferenced ideology isn't going to be shit to the rest of the majority. In our American world, we run off a majority wins. I do also want to say that Americans need to remember what we stood on prior to 2004. So I was giving my daughter a little bit of a history lesson on the rights of those of this sector of population. And I wasn't even fully aware of this, but prior to 1970 range, like maybe mid 70s, if you identified with this population, you were given the diagnosis of mental illness. I wasn't even aware of that until I did the research. Why wasn't I aware of that? Because it's not my life. Peru recently has started the country itself, right? Which I saluted. I was like, good move on them. They are recognizing this population amongst people and they are diagnosing them and they recognize it as a mental illness. America, because America is so graceful and we are the land of the free, Americans decided to go ahead and retract that. We will let you be. We won't call you mentally ill. I say, give them back that diagnosis. Give them back their mentally ill diagnosis because that is exactly what they are. They've earned it. Additionally, prior to 2004, when these rights were fully given to them, they also had very limited rights. And why did they have limited rights? Because as America and Americans in general, we did not want what has happened over the last 20 years to be forced upon us. That is something that they must have skipped in their history class to recognize their rights are pretty brand new and they have already done enough in the 20 years to make Americans want to retract their rights, which can absolutely happen. I have endured a lot in my life. I have overcome a lot. I have seen a lot. I have gone through a lot of different things in my life. And there's a lot of people that don't agree with my lifestyle, with things that have happened in my past, choices I have made, and the woman that I have become. With that being said, that's fine. It's a part of my history. It is the path that I have taken. It's the cards I was dealt in life. I rocked with it the best that I could. I'm not kidding when I say you guys have no idea what religious oppression is. But you're about to feel it. You've wakened so much up. So on that note, I want to bring that conversation to an end because it's not the focus of my video today. From the depths of my soul and every fiber of my being, fuck you. Charlie Kirk was a good man. He stood for his beliefs. He did not do anything threatening to a single one of you. He verbally debated. He was not in any way violent towards a single one of you. Fuck you. Now, if you're still here and you're watching the video, let's move on to the regularly scheduled things. Thanks for watching again. So as I said, this video is really a combination of me cooking dinner in the background, and I'm going to show you clips of the ghost ball that I've had in some other videos. There are spirits in my apartment and they like to move through, and it's really cool to see because for a while there we've had no activity, and so I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on. Before I had the ball kind of on the floor, and it would get a lot of movement, but for credibility and all those kind of things, you know. I moved it to a side table and it's been quiet, no activity for the past few weeks. Nothing has happened, but today to are alive and well. I am in the kitchen cooking dinner while this ball is lighting up, and my daughter is actually across on the living room on the couch flipping through her Steve Wilkos show reruns and watching Dog the Bounty Hunter review the verbal rundown on what is on the menu for schedule. What was on the menu for the dinner tonight was, excuse me as I fumble over my words, right? Happens to all of us. So tonight I made homemade sopapillas. I topped it off with some chili seasoned ground beef with some green chilies, various seasonings, a little bit of garlic, and then topped it off with the cavalecitos con corn. So if you don't know what that is, it is zucchini with corn, and I added some bell peppers to it, topped it off with some melted cheese, stacked that on top of the homemade sopapillas, and then topped it off with just some tomatoes and some sour cream. I also made half of the batch into dessert sopapillas. So we have sopapillas with cinnamon and sugar. Usually we just kind of eat them just like that, or we top them off with a little bit of drizzled honey. Today I decided to make up a Cool Whip vanilla pudding to top off. It was absolutely delish. You've got to try it if you've never tried it. And I don't know why, but today my sopapillas kind of turned out a lot more flat. So they are more like a fried bread, but it's still the same thing. They didn't poof up like a sopapilla normally would, but it is a sopapilla. And as I said, I will definitely give you guys some cuts on the food for those who are the foodies and like to see the homemade stuff. Always good. I going to end with this nostalgic video. I come across these often from the Gen Xers. I am 1981, so I'm like the Xlennial, right? I'm not Gen X because of that turn of the 1980s. I'm 81, I'm a year after. But I'm also not millennial, so I'm kind of like a little bit of both. So I'm the Xlennial, or however you want to word it. This, though, still applied to my life. And when I saw this video, I was like, oh, that's a really good video to make a nostalgic video commenting on. So this one is, remember how Gen X grew up broke? Yes, yes, we do. We definitely do. That cheese made some of the best nachos back in the day. It is essentially what they sell for about $7 now as Velveeta cheese, only it was actual cheese. It wasn't as processed back then, but it did bomb nachos. So I want to touch bases on that because it said mom. I didn't grow up with my mom. I grew up in the foster care system. So this still applied even though I wasn't raised with my mom. These were actual meals that as a foster kid, we absolutely had. So these government beef cans, and they had chicken and they had pork. I remember as kids when the parents would go and get the commodity box, right? Because that's what it was called. It wasn't you had your food banks and then you had your commodity distributors. And you could go about once a week to the commodity distributor and you can get the box of food. And it had the exact same things, the cheese, a box of farina, which was essentially cream of wheat, It had checks. Usually the wheat checks is what we would get. It had some bread. It did not have eggs. It had powdered eggs. That's right, powdered eggs. It had powdered milk. And then it had 2 or 3 cans of these meat products, whether it was beef, chicken, or pork, as I said. Now, as a kid, when those boxes came in, we would do everything we could to save those cans. And then at the end of the month, we would make tamales with the meat. Made really, really good tamales. Some of the best we've had. That was what we called breakfast cheese toast. It was an open-faced, melted cheese on toast breakfast. During the video, I appreciate your guys' time. If you enjoyed the video, please do the essentials. You know what they are. Have a good night on this September 13th night. I know we're all hurting and we're all in a little bit of a dismay. I hope that my video did bring somebody, a few smiles to some faces or some enlightenment to the strain and the emotional stress that we all collaboratively feel as Americans. Have a good one, you guys. Good night.